This next slot is our power ranking slot, which has become known as...
Well, it did become known as Two Pricks, One List.
So your prick this week, Eoin.
I am. It's the most correct, absolutely flawless list of 33 to 1. Bulletproof, waterproof, whatever you want to say. These are 100% true, and if you disagree with them, you're wrong. We're going to start at number 33 in our power rankings of Gaelic football teams at the moment, and it is New York, a non-mover, and it's pretty much non-movers all the way down to 25. So we've still got Antrim at 32, London at 31, Wexford at 30, Leitrim at 29, Sligo at 28, Wicklow at 27, Waterford at 26. Now Carlow have dropped 2 places to 25 after they were hammered
Only
by
2?
Meath. Only 2. I would have them ahead of Waterford, Wicklow, Sligo, Leitrim, etc., for now, for sure.
All right. I'm going to give you that.
Let's move on. The next page, we get to number 24. Limerick move up 1 and Tipperary move up 1 as a result of Carlow's drop. We'll be awaiting with bated breath to see how Limerick get on in the next round. You still maintain that they should be ahead of Tipperary. Now, Tipperary are set for a big jump if they win. Now they go to play down in the first round of the qualifiers.
It's in Tip.
It's in Tip.
Yeah.
There was actually a bit of confusion around that yesterday. So regardless of where that's on, that is an extremely tough game. It would still be them taking out somebody who are higher than them on this list. That would be a huge thing for them to bump up. So it is a crucial couple of weeks for them in terms of who is actually right in this. We will have a decision on who is right.
Your parents will have that up on the dressing room wall, right?
Well, I'm sure they will. If they didn't, I will be personally insulted. Offaly have moved down 1 to 22. Louth are down 2 to 21. They were pulled apart by Dublin, and it kind of feels harsh to move them down to.
Really? So they not have got they've 500-600 whatever the score was that they conceded.
Yeah, like they still beat Wexford in the first round of Leinster in their first game in Leinster, getting a win in the championship. You do get a bit of credit in the bank. Good league campaign as well.
Unless you're Limerick.
One of the reasons why they're down to unless you're Limerick. One of the reasons they're down to is because Longford are up to very, very good performance against Kildare at the weekend. You will say that it's because Kildare aren't exactly great shakes at the moment.
No, Longford did well.
I say Longford putting up 315 is cause for them to rise. But their ceiling at the moment for me is 20, because ahead of them I've got Derry at 19. They're up 1 despite not playing at the weekend because of Louth's drop. They lost by 6 points to Tyrone.
Tip isn't down.
It's in down.
It isn't down.
That's what I thought.
What happened?
There was literally 3 Twitter accounts online yesterday said it was in Park Esler, and 3 of them were saying it was in Semple Stadium. I don't know how it got confused. I wasn't listening to the radio yesterday morning. I was here. At 18 and 17, we've got 2 non-movers. Down at 18, Cork at 17. Neither of them played at the weekend, so they're staying as they are. Cork yet to play as well. They're out this weekend. We'll move on. Clare are at 16, another non-mover, and Westmeath played Laois at the weekend. Some people may say I should have had Westmeath ahead of Laois. I didn't. I had Laois ahead of Westmeath. And who won at the weekend? That's right. Laois beat Westmeath by 2 points, so they stay where they are. Laois at 14, Westmeath behind them at 15. Kildare also a non-mover at 13, despite the fact that they drew with Longford. They're lucky.
I would have moved them down a bit.
I just can't put them below Laois or Westmeath or Clare or Cork at this point.
Laois are already through to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Kildare might not make it through.
They might not make it through, but we'll wait and see. This is a team that made it to the Super 8s last year.
Here's a quick question for you, right?
They're not as good this year.
Here's a quick question for you. If you're Longford or Kildare and you've got Dublin in the semi-finals and Dublin are going to beat you 637 to 9 points, or maybe 1-9, would you rather face Carlow in the next round, having been beaten in a close replay in Tullamore in the qualifiers, and take your chances there? Or would you rather get spanked by Dublin and take your chances in the next round of the qualifiers when a lot of other good teams get in?
Yeah,
you're coming straight off the spanking.
You have to say that the absolute destruction that Dublin will do to you will have a mental impact. There's no way it can't not.
Unless you put out your under 21 team and you can, what are you under 20? What are you going to do?
Well, sure, all those under 21s aren't allowed to play senior, because then you'll scupper your under 20 championship.
You know what I mean? Would some
the minors?
You're like players from 16 to 31.
Just send out Emmett Bolton. He'd be like, I thought this was a Masters game. Send out 15 retired players.
Bit harsh. I was like, what did I do to you, Eoin?
Well, no, I mean all retired players. I mean, that have left the Kildare. Retirees.
There's a good case that Emmett Bolton could do a very good job for that team. He might be one of our best tacklers if he was to play at the moment.
I'm not saying he wouldn't be. All I'm saying is throw out recent retirees.
I've got your back, Emmett, don't worry.
We're moving on to Fermanagh at 12. They're down 1 after their defeat to Donegal at the weekend. I can see Fermanagh precipitating down these power rankings. They could even get knocked out in round 1 of the qualifiers. In fact, I'd imagine they're favoured to do so. They're up against Monaghan. Armagh are also down 1. Bit harsh on them after their win against Down, but it's because Meath are up 2. Very, very impressive against Carlow, 218 to 9 points. And then ahead of them, inside the top 10, we still got Cavan at 9.
Hang on. Who did Armagh beat? Stick that back up.
Down.
Can we see that one again?
Armagh beat Down.
Right. So Armagh beat Down. They're at 11. And Meath beat who?
Carlow.
And they're 10.
Yeah.
So, where are Carlow and Down, respectively?
Down are 18, Carlow are 25.
Right. You're a clown. This makes no sense.
How does that not make sense?
It makes no sense. It's completely inconsistent. It's complete.
How is it inconsistent?
It makes no sense.
How much? Okay, I'll ask you a question.
Armagh should be ahead of Meath.
I'll ask you a question.
Armagh just beat a team who was vastly superior to the team Meath just beat, and Meath are ahead of Armagh.
Let me ask you a question.
It makes no sense.
Let me ask you a question.
No, it makes no sense.
Just two questions actually. How much did
changing the rules now? Come on, quick.
How much did Armagh beat Down by? How much did Meath beat Carlow by? The answer is 1 point, and the answer to the other question is 15 points.
They beat a good team.
7 points.
In a close game.
7 points separate the two opposition in the power rankings. It's not like they're only one graphic apart. They're only
it's 7. It's
only 7
out of 33.
Doesn't matter.
It's a massive amount.
They would still, according to these rankings, they would still be tier 2 counties.
It doesn't matter.
But 14-point disparity.
You have to have credibility.
I have tons of credibility.
No.
Meath made it to a Division 2 final as well. They've been excellent.
This is basically like letting the dragon speak in the last episode of Game of Thrones. Like, I just decided this doesn't matter anymore. It has to have consistency, otherwise
it has beautiful consistency. It's not based solely on the fact that they beat a team ranked here. It's also about the magnitude of the win, the manner in which they won, and the comfort at which they look at their place. Meath look like a top 10 team to
Dublin
me.
have gone up in the rankings
look like that
because they beat Louth by so many.
They what?
Dublin have gone up in the rankings from number 1. They're now 1+, 1 star, whatever it is that you think.
How long have you been working on that line for? That was a very, very good gag there. We're going to move into the top 8, and we've got Monaghan, who are down 1 again. They, of course, got knocked out of Ulster by Cavan last weekend, and the reason they're down 1 is because Roscommon have moved up after their win against Mayo. Why? Okay, let's come back to this in a moment, because that's just an absolutely ridiculous notion. We've got Donegal at 6, a non-mover.
What?
Mayo have dropped 2 as a result of their defeat to Roscommon. Tyrone,
Where was the Mayo Roscommon game? It was in Mayo. They got beaten at home. The power rankings are supposed to reflect their current rankings. What just happened? The reality of Roscommon just beat Mayo, and they're 3 points behind them.
This is exactly. You can't just base it on the fact of one result. Like on all the evidence we saw all spring, on all the evidence that.
And now we know new things. When I get new information.
This could be the start of a decline for Mayo, for sure. If they're unimpressive in round 2 of the qualifiers, I promise everybody out there, I will drop Mayo down. But I want to wait and see. They've dropped 2 places in a fairly congested top 10 here. They've I was actually cautious of moving Tyrone and Kerry ahead of them because of the opposition that Tyrone
now
have
2 places is a big deal, but the 7 places between Down and Carlow is not that big a deal. They're right beside each other.
That's because of it's down lower in the rankings. Like up at the top, the gaps are bigger. And just to complete the top 3 for anybody who's just listening online, Tyrone are 3, Kerry are 2, and Dublin are 1. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to put Kerry up to 2 because that's very anti how I would
trying to
exactly. I wanted to try and keep them as low as possible. But I just saw no other option here. Maybe some people might argue that you should have Tyrone ahead of them. People were tweeting at the weekend saying maybe Mayo aren't the best team in Connacht anymore. Galway should definitely be ahead of them. Roscommon should possibly be ahead of them as well.
Yes.
Currently, it is this close to Mayo going below Galway. I promise you that. I'm not just clinging on to my poetic idea that Mayo are the best team in Connacht. It is that close.
He's making a small, doing the
Mayo
pinch of the fingers.
Mayo could drop in the next power rankings again, even if they win. If it's an unimpressive win, and it will be behind Galway. I still think we need to see Roscommon win the Connacht final, and win the Connacht final, and then we may see them jump above Mayo. We will just have to see how real this Mayo malaise is. For me, it seemed like there were very tangible things where Mayo can improve on, and we will see a bounce back.
There's no punishment for teams performing badly.
They dropped 2 places.
2 places.
That's a huge drop in that time of the table.
Actual
in that area of the
opponent
table.
beating an actual opponent in this thing doesn't matter to you at all.
It does. It does. Roscommon are up 1 Mayo are down 2. It does matter. It's literally affected the whole spectrum. I can't put Roscommon ahead of Donegal, Galway, Mayo, Tyrone, Kerry. I'm sorry. I just can't do that.
You could have done it.
I just can't do that because
it's your list. You can do what you want.
I can, of course I can, and I am going to stick with the correct thing here, which is that Roscommon are the 7th best team in the country.
Right. One prick and a list. Is that what it's called?
Don't be so harsh on yourself.
All right. More power rankings next week whenever Eoin recovers from Primavera.